Today I'm mixing some thrifting with some Dollar Tree supplies to craft a few cozy rustic Christmas decor. Everything turned out way prettier than I expected, and I'm so excited for you to see them. Alright, let's jump right in. For the first DIY, I'll be using this really heavy wooden frame that I thrifted at the Goodwill. When I'm thrifting for frames, I love solid heavy pieces. Even if the finish isn't your style, the quality is what matters. I'll be painting it in the shade Burnt Umber from Apple Barrel, and I want it to be a rich, dark chocolate brown. And I'm just brushing that right over the frame with a round sponge brush. I didn't sand it, I could have lightly gone over it, but it did take the color nicely. This was half off, so it only cost a couple dollars, so for this video, I challenged myself to stick to the sticker color of the week items to get that extra 50% off savings. I wanted to add a Christmas print without spending too much, so I went to Dollar Tree and picked up one of their gift boxes. And I found the perfect print that I liked. This one was so pretty with the snow and the red door. This also came in a pack of 2, so I had options. Now I'm not going to let that bottom of the box go to waste, so stick around because I'll show you a quick little hack for that so nothing gets wasted. The first thing I'm doing is cutting out the part of the print that I like. I just lay the glass right over it so I can see exactly where to trim and how much I need. I want this picture to look hand painted, not that shiny gift box finish, so I'll be brushing a layer of matte Mod Podge on top. I'm just going over the print as if I'm painting it, and I want to make sure I completely cover the whole surface. I'm brushing nice long strokes over the main areas like the doors and that wood on top. And then for the trees and the wreath, I'm pouncing the brush over the branches and the pine needles, just following the shape because those strokes will show once they dry. I'm using a good amount of Mod Podge too, and since this is a pretty thick print, it's not going to bubble. At least it hasn't yet on me. I also added a little dot of Mod Podge over the falling snow, and I just dipped the back of my paintbrush into the Mod Podge and lightly tapped it over each snowflake. And here it is all dried. I really love the finish. It takes away that sheen and it gives it such a pretty painted effect. So just insert that into the frame and close it up. And I'll be leaving the glass out so that you can see the beautiful finish. Now, here's a quick little hack to turn the bottom part of the box into its own box. First, I'm taking one end and folding it so the edge lines up just under the top flap. Then I flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Now I have 2 crease lines right in the center. Next, I'm cutting along those crease lines on both sides to create a little flap. You can just glue or tape it down flat or connect it to the sides. Then I just fold everything in and shape it into a box. Super easy, and you still end up with a gift box. I thrifted this really beautiful 15-inch ceramic Christmas tree. It's actually a cookie jar from Design Pack, a company that makes seasonal gift items, and since the color of the week was blue, I got it for 50% off. So there's a lid on top that comes right out the top of the tree. It's a nice little storage, and you can drop in some cookies or whatever you want. I want to enhance it a bit and dress it up with some pine greenery, so I needed a base, and I'll be using this Dollar Tree wood round that I still had left over from my prior video. I'll be giving it a coat of acrylic paint, keeping it very neutral, but before I do that, I'm going to cover up the holes with some spackle. So after that dries, I just give it a very light sanding on top to smooth it out. Then I just brush on the paint with a round sponge brush. I get a pack of these on Amazon, and I love using these because the paint just goes on so smoothly and opaque. I'm using these Dollar Tree snowy pines. These are my favorite. They look realistic, not plasticky, and I pulled these off the stems last year, so I'm just using the pieces without the stem. I'm placing the ceramic on top of the wood round, and I'm tucking the pines all around the base. It gives such a pretty contrast against the white tree. Now the pine needles were kind of going everywhere and it wouldn't stay where I wanted them to, so eventually I did end up putting them back on the stems. I also got this little reindeer at Dollar Tree and I thought it would look perfect on the side. It looks like glass, but I'm pretty sure it's acrylic. And I'm just sliding the tray over a bit to make some room and placing the reindeer on the side. And then finally, I added a few mini pine cones and berries, and this one is all done. I really love these large rectangle wooden trays from Dollar Tree with a Christmas print, but you know, they've gone up a couple dollars since last year. So I headed to the basket aisle at the thrift store because I wanted something similar in size but woven. And I found this beautiful natural woven basket tray, 50% off, so I got it for under $2. And I wanted to add a decorative print on the surface of the tray, so as a quick little hack, I headed to the Dollar Tree gift bag aisle and I picked out one of their gift boxes to use for the tray. This is such an adorable print. I love the neutral colors. Of course, I'm definitely not letting that bottom box go to waste because I'll be transforming it into a usable box. And again, to do that, I'm folding one end of the box up to the flap to make a crease, then flipping it around and doing the same thing on the other side. That gives me 2 fold lines in the middle. After that, I'm cutting along these lines on each side to make small flaps. You can tape or glue these flaps down or attach them to the sides. Then I fold it all in and it turns right into a little box. Okay, back to the basket. So I'm just measuring and cutting out the amount that I need. I'm also rounding out the corners so that it fits nicely in the tray. I did give the basket a really good cleaning, and then I just dropped the print right on top. And for the final touch, I took some velvet ribbon. I get these on Amazon and I just tie a little bow around the handle. I clean up the ends and this one is done. I got several of these berries and pinecone bouquets from Dollar Tree and I wanted to place them in a rustic stone-like vase. Dollar Tree had some simple glass vases, but I wanted something with a little more character. So I headed to the thrift store to look for vases I could give a Pottery Barn inspired rustic makeover. A little tip when you're thrifting for vases, focus on the shape. Even if the color isn't right, you'll be surprised what a little paint can do. And of course, I'm sticking to the 50% off items. Now, I was a little surprised when I saw these mason jar tea light candle holders for $5.99. I'm pretty sure my Dollar Tree still sells them for $1.25, but what I did not pay for $5.99 was this beautiful terracotta vase because it was 50% off. I'll be doing 2 vase makeovers, and this first one's going to be quick. I really love terracotta jars and vases, and so I thought I would just drop in the pine cones, and I also added some of these glittery pines from Dollar Tree as well. But I changed my mind and I decided to add a little rub and buff around the top rim. So I'm just using a little sponge brush to lightly apply it. But then I felt like the gold looked too gold and I wanted to tone it down but still keep that metallic finish. So over that, I brushed on some antique gold from Faux mixed with a little espresso metallic paint from Craftsmart. And I applied that all over the rim and it looked perfect and it kept that rustic charm that I love. For the next DIY, I'm giving this thrifted vase a little makeover. It's a simple white ceramic vase with small side handles that give it such character, and I wanted to give it more of an aged textured look. Overall, I'm keeping it light, using white acrylic paint as my base. I'm mixing in some baking soda for texture, and I add quite a bit because I want it to be nice and thick. Then I add a few drops of nutmeg for a little warmth. Now I do make sure to give the vase a good cleaning before painting. You can also spray a little primer on it first, and that really helps the mixture stick better. I'm applying the paint with a large round sponge brush, wiping it on first, and then dabbing over it to add that nice textured finish. I'm doing a few coats, letting each layer dry before adding the next. And to speed things up, I just use a heat tool between layers. For the hard to reach areas like the handles, I just use a smaller brush. The base shade is on and it's looking pretty good. I definitely could leave it as is. With a damp paper towel, I'm dabbing on this khaki color. It goes on a little dark at first, but the more I dab over it with a damp towel, the more it lightens into a soft clay color. I'm just adding it here and there for a bit of dimension. Okay, at this point, I thought the surface was looking too rough and bumpy in some areas, and so I lightly sand it down a bit until I like the way it looks. And then I just keep adding the khaki paint, building it up a little darker along the bottom and softening it as I work my way up. I just keep doing that until it starts looking like that soft, aged stone pottery finish. Once I'm done, I give it a quick coat of spray sealer, and then I drop in the berry and pinecone bouquets along with the pine stems. I just love that pop of red from the berries against a rustic neutral vase. While I was thrifting, I spotted these 2-pack of large 16 by 20 inch canvases. It was brand new, and even though it wasn't 50% off, it was only $2.99 for 2, so I got it. I thought it would be perfect for a simple Christmas project, a clean, modern, minimal, and a little Scandinavian inspired. And once I saw these wooden Christmas trees from Dollar Tree, I knew exactly what I wanted to make. Okay, so I need to remove the staples so I can remove the canvas. I want to place it on the back of the wooden frame instead of the front, and so I'm just using my staple remover to pry those out. I'm painting the frame in Territorial Beige from Apple Barrel, and I wanted to keep the frame nice and neutral. I'm applying it with a round sponge brush, making sure to get it all over the front and the sides. I'll be using 2 of these wooden trees from Dollar Tree, and I'm painting them a green shade. I decided to glue 2 trees together to make it even bigger, and I just position it one a little higher than the other, and then I hot glue them together. I cover up that hole on top with some spackle, and then I lightly sand it down once it's dry. So I'm mixing a couple green chalk paints from Waverly that I had, olive and celery, and I wanted the shade to be in between the two. Then I'm applying the paint with a round sponge brush. It really helps the paint go on quickly and evenly, and it gives a nice, thick, opaque coat without a lot of streaks. I'm wrapping the base or the trunk of the tree with some jute twine. I just added a little hot glue on the back to hold it in place, and then I wind it around. It adds a nice little detail and it makes the tree look more finished. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Next, I'm trimming the canvas down so it fits neatly on the back and it doesn't stick out. Then I run a line of hot glue along the back of the frame, one section at a time, and then I press the canvas down. After that, I'm placing the tree on the canvas just to see how it looks. And you know, I felt like the tree looked a little too small for the canvas, so I decided to add some stars on top to help fill it out a bit more. But honestly, I was wishing I'd used 3 trees instead of 2, so that's exactly what I did. Totally unplanned, but I'm glad I added another one because it made it look so much more full. You can definitely do this with the smaller Dollar Tree canvases, and 1 or 2 trees would be just fine. I'm brushing a little rub and buff over the wooden star, and I decided to just use one and glue it right above the tree. And this one is all done. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video gave you lots of Christmas crafting inspiration. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like me to DIY next. Do you like thrifted projects or Dollar Tree DIYs or both? I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, bye!